Hi, Ann Cornick from Paintnporcelain here. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and also to uh, recruit experienced painters to paint along with us. So we're going to work on the final version of our daisies. This is what my final plate came out like, just so you know. And I'm going to take you through the steps to finish that process. If your plate you're happy with the colors and you like it the way it is, then, please don't feel that you have to, paint any more on it. You have to get the plate the way you're comfortable with it. So I tend to like things a little darker, I think, than a lot of people do. So, you have to decide what works for you. Alrighty, so let's tilt you down and we'll work on this final plate, and then next time we can start a new project. Really nice. I'm always trying to experiment with at least one new color. And even though we have a lot of beginners in the group, I like to use new colors. And so I'm using royal blue on my final fire because it's a little bit darker and kind of a little bit like the banding blue, but it's dark, so I can go behind my daisies. So I'm going to start. I'm going to use the royal blue on my plate, and I'm not going to do a wash this time. I'm only putting the colors where I think I need them. I found that on the final fire that works a little better. So I'm starting, and I'm going to put the final colors in where I know I need them. And it's around the middle here. I'm just going to put a little in. And I'm going to put a little around this daisy. You'll find that some of your colors move easier on your china than others. It could be the way you mix them. It could just be inherent in the colors. And I'm just putting it around the edges here. And the reason I'm doing the darker blue is because I do like it a little darker in the center. Plus, some of these background daisies that I have here, I want to make sure that they're kind of blending in to the background a little more. There we go. So I'm just doing that. And then, of course, the sun's coming across this way, so I'm going to want a little more depth on the side that's in shadow. And so I'm going to put just a little more in there. And I'm only going like up to the daisy, the bottom of the daisy, or thereabouts, and trying to mix it out. So there we go. That'll give it a little more depth, and I think a little more oomph where I want it. And then I'm going to, you know how we feather it, just lightly out. I think I'm going to put a little up in this area too. So just so you can follow me. Putting a little up in there too. And I will feather that out. You always have to turn the piece so you're painting towards yourself. It just works better. Now up in here, it's going to be a little bit lighter. And so I'm using a Copenhagen blue to go in up in there because Copenhagen is not quite as harsh. It is a similar shade, but it's just a similar color, but it's a couple of shades lighter. And I'm actually going to feather that all the way out. And I'm going to do the same thing up in this area right here where I've got the blue and just feather it out. I'm going to take a little bit of shading green and put a little bit of darkness right by those leaves where they kind of go under the flower, just to make sure that they're kind of the same value. And maybe put a little bit over here. I'm not putting it all the way up the leaf. I'm just putting it where it goes under, or so that it kind of completes the leaf. Some of these leaves don't go under the flowers, and they probably should. So, okie doke. That's what I'm going to do there. And so that's how I have it right now. Now I'm going to take a little more of the Copenhagen blue and go up into this area up in here. And another trick that I kind of accidentally stumbled upon but I've used it before, is I like to mix, when you get a background and you're feathering it out and it's not quite what you want it to be. You would like it to be prettier. You would like it to be a little smoother, and it's just not cooperating for you. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I take and put a little white in it, just a tad, and I pull that out, and something about the white just helps to smooth things out. So that might be something you could consider. Alrighty, now I've gotten most of the way around. I want to put a little Copenhagen over here too. And I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible. Like I say, I do throw a little white in every once in a while, and it seems like white is a nice smooth color. It seems like it helps to smooth things out for you. And I'm going to do my leaves now. I'm just going to add a little yellow brown, kind of wherever the light would hit them. These leaves seem to be kind of dark for me. I'm not real happy with the monotone, and so I'm going to just, oops, that's too dark. I'm just going to add a little bit of the yellow brown to a couple of them, wherever I think the light is going to hit them. Like here, I think the light might hit up in here, and so I'm just adding a little bit of yellow brown. Here I'm going to add a little right there, a little right there. Okay, over here, I might put a little on the tip, just a little. And maybe, I don't know that they all need it. This one could use a little down there, okay. And if it's a little harsh, you can go back in and pull it off so that it's not quite so harsh. Take a look at it, always hold your piece away from you. And decide, now that I've played and I put that color on there, the other color I might want to do is a little bit of the shading green. And you don't need to go into cleaning your brush every time. You can certainly just add a little bit of the shading green. I'm going to do it where this leaf kind of flips. I'm going to put a little there. And I'm going to put a little over here. I want to pull the, oops, I need a little more. I want to pull that flip down a little bit on that. Oops, it's a little harsh. Pull it out. Feather it away. Yeah, there we go. And looks like it could use a little up in here on this one. It's a flip over too. There we go. Then I'm going to take and really look at my leaves and see, do any of them have veins that need to be fixed up a little? And if they do, I can take my liner, put it in a little shading green, and just pull out a little bit. So, like this one here, you can't even see any veins in it. I just want to make sure we have a vein. So I will pull a little vein that way, and maybe one up this way. Maybe a little start of one there. And down here, I want to make that a little more prominent. This one's good. Maybe here, put another one there, just balancing it out. This one doesn't even look like it has any. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't look like it has any veins. And then the other thing you might want to do, or you might want to wait, but if you know that you're not going to be putting more color in an area and you just need to define the end of the leaf a little, on the shady side, you can do that. I don't know if you could see how I did that. Let me do this one up here. And you know, a lot of times when I paint like this, I wipe it off after, because when you're holding it up and trying to show people how to do things, it's not always your best. And never be afraid of wiping it off. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have to settle. You should always try to do your best. And see those little bit of outlines, I don't know if you can tell, but especially in here, I think just add a little bit to the end of the leaf. You don't have to do them, but sometimes it gives you some definition. So now I'm going to go in and clean up my petals on my flower. I'm doing this basically with my mineral spirits, and I'm just going in and cleaning it up where the blue got on my flowers. So I'm doing a little here, a little there. I think if you look, I don't know how close you can see, but like right here, oh, I'm sorry, I'll hold it up. Right here, the blue got on the edge. I'm just pulling it off, pulling this one out, pulling this one out. Here I have a little blue that went over that area right here. And so I'm just gonna pull it towards the center. Let me turn you a little bit because I think you're, yeah, that's a little better. And then over here, I'm gonna get a little more, clean my brush again. I'm gonna put it there. Can you see here? I've got a little blue on there. I'm just gonna pull that out, pull this out, pull this in. The reason I'm pulling it in is because I want the blue closer to the main thing, the main flower there. Okay. And I think that cleans up what I can. Now there are spots of that that I don't like, that I really can't clean up as well as I'd like. And also clean up the centers where you can. So what I'm going to do now is probably take some of that white that I was telling you about, this wonderful new white that I've come across, and I'm just going to use it sparingly. So I'm just taking the white, and a couple places my blue got in the way and I can't get rid of it, so I'm just putting it on. And also this white, when it's not too heavy, just adds a little sparkle to the daisies, just a little bit. And I kind of like that. Here, let me show you. If I were to just use the white right here, you'll see. I left it a little heavy there so you can kind of see what it looks like. I wouldn't normally leave it that heavy. I would probably take it down a notch. But this white really helps. And so you don't have to use it on everything, but just a couple here and there. If you want to shape them up a little bit, you can. And it's a beautiful white for that. So don't be afraid to use white. A lot of times it's a savior, I'll tell you. Okay. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of the brown. Let me get my hair. A little bit of the rich brown in the centers. Okay, I'm just going to darken this up a little too much. Oh, well, that didn't help either. I guess I'll do it this way, and this way, and this way. There. Okay. All right. Then leaves. I did the final shaping already. So I'm going to add some background and get the background on here for you. I'm going to try this brush. This is a Joyce Burlew. I don't know if anybody remembers Joyce Burlew. I loved her brushes. So now I'm taking my ivory and I'm just going to go back and add my ivory in here. And this is a Joyce Burlew brush. And I have to tell you, this is called a flat. And it's really nice. I got this in an estate as well, and I never regret getting brushes that I couldn't afford when I was first China painting. So this is one of them. And I'm taking my Copenhagen, and I'm also mixing the Copenhagen in the background, just trying to even things out a little bit. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off and just pull it back. And then I'm going to have to put some of the blue in. Now, before I do that, I'm actually going to add moss green. And you probably think I'm nuts, but I thought it needed a pick-me-up. And I kind of like the moss green. I'm not adding it everywhere. I'm just adding it across the top. I like to mix my colors. I like to mix patterns in my house too. And so that's kind of how I come up with these combinations. So if you aren't a combination person, don't worry about it. Now I'm taking blue-black. So now I'm blending using blue-black. Back to the blue-black again, because I just like the blue-black. And I'm blending it around the top. So this is how I'm getting the color to look up in that area. You've got your green, my moss green is there, and I'm just taking and blending this over. Now, anywhere like here, where it's a little choppy, I'm going to take a little white and just dab. I know this sounds terrible, but it works. I'm going to wipe the white off my brush, and see, if I just add the white, it just helps to smooth things out. So now I'm putting the blue-black on down here, and I also put the green on, and I'm just feathering it to the edges. Now, I don't know, you might think it's too much of one color, not enough of another, but you can do whatever you want. Make sure you signed your name on this one. Now I'm just going to take, speaking of white, a little white. Not put too much on. I'm just going to wipe out these little guys. Can you see? I'm sorry. I'm going to wipe it out up here. Oops, let's get a little more on there. Those little flowers up there, just so they stand out. It also lifts a little bit. If you put it on and you're careful, not too heavy because it'll chip off, but if you put it on and it's a little thick and you see a little rise with it, there's nothing wrong with that, and sometimes it will fire that way. It can be very pretty. Okay, and there's one more over here. I think I'll just add a little too. It just helps them stand out. So I think, for all intents and purposes, the last thing you're going to want to do, the last thing I do is run my finger around the edge, or you can take a Q-tip, like this, and just run it around the edge. Sometimes it's a little more careful about doing the edge than your finger is. I find that when I run my finger around the edge, sometimes I take off a lot of paint. But, oh, and I did it right here. See, I said I would, and I did. I find it helps to turn off any light you have in the room, to make sure that you can see if there's any place that you maybe put too much color, too little color, or what have you. And then you can fix it up accordingly. But that's kind of what I ended up with. But I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not the same as this one that I did earlier. This one I ended up putting banding blue around the edge because I really like the banding blue. And it made a big difference. So, you just go with the colors you like, do what you like. The study for these daisies will be available at my Paint and Porcelain website, so that you have it. And you will be able to go online, and then you can just, like I said, it's really easy. You just purchase it as a downloadable, and you pay for it, and it just instantly comes to you. And I think that makes all the difference in the world, because you can start painting right away if that's something you're interested in. So you can go to my website and download this study, and all my other studies are there. The free printables are out there, and I have some supplies still left, not a whole lot, but I do have a few supplies still available if you're interested. So, all right, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.